On a corporate level, I would like to thank God for a second lockdown because I believe, you're looking at me like I'm crazy, but I believe that, especially here in the UK, and it might apply to the rest of the world, but I know it applies here, that God's grace is so abundant. And I believe that maybe some of the prayers of the saints have allowed this to happen, that God is giving us corporately and individually more time to, as the kids would say, check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. We have been given time to evaluate and to take stock about what we are doing corporately and personally. And we said this at the beginning of the first lockdown, but I believe now this is one of the final. You could take it as a warning, you could take it as mercy and blessing. But with all that is happening, if it's not clear to church leaders and brethren that what you did before is not going to be good enough going forward, that the way you ran church or the way you ran your life in the last season ain't gonna work in the new season. If we don't get that message by now, then I don't know when we're gonna get that message. But I want to thank God that He has given us another period of time where we can take stock of our individual lives, our family, if we are heads of families, our churches, if we are leaders of churches. Because He's given us time now to turn and say, okay, should things go back to some kind of normality, how am I going to operate in this new normal? Because this new normal is not going to be the same as the old normal. And if you're looking really carefully under the news and behind the news and through the news, the level of depravity and demonic and satanic action that is happening now, I said it before, it's ramping up. Because you wait till people get really be able to get loose and free. You didn't see the night before lockdown, everybody was out in central London. Was they social distancing? No, because everybody's just looking for a chance to get back to revelry. There was a rave somewhere, I think, in the edge of London that had 700 people that the police locked down. Yeah? There is all kinds of wickedness. We saw that young boy the other day go and take that girl, right? And assault her and rape her on the road in broad daylight. That stuff is not going to stop happening. It's going to keep happening because the darkness in this world is just being proliferate. Look how the way that sex is marketed now in everything, and it always has been. But the intensity, it's the same spirits, but the intensity of depravity and sin is not going nowhere. And so we as individuals, as the body, as the church, if we don't know that we have to change the way we operate in this new season, and it goes in line with the Bible studies that we've been having, that as we come into new seasons, it's a new order of things. As we said, the comfort zone doesn't require a new level of anything. And so a lot of churches and us have been in our comfort zones. We haven't had to be more disciplined in prayer and fasting. We haven't had to be more disciplined in reading our word, because we've just had to come back to convocation every year, clap our hands and dance. No one really gets saved. And another young person leaves the church. And we just continue this cycle. But I am so glad to God that as an individual, He's even given me another chance. I'm thanking Him for the fasting that we did, which is the best fasting I've done in a while, because it's given me a level of clarity that I've been looking for a long time. Now, I don't know whether I'm just an idiot and I just can't hear what God's saying, or whether it had to take time for this to happen like this. I'm still trying to decide that, because sometimes I think I'm really slow. But it gave me a clarity that I'm so glad that I've been able to realize, okay, this is the type of discipline I have to bring in my life. And at least now I know that if I mess up now, it really is my fault, because I am so clear about how I have to move into the next season. It's just the way God aligns things, as I say, like the way He causes events to move and things to shift and to just everything to line up into place. And so for me now to have such a definite understanding of, you know what, this is how a man of God has to operate if he really wants to move in power and he really wants to be in victory over Satan himself and the flesh at all times. It takes such a level of discipline, such a new level of just conscientiousness and being concerned about even my sleep time. Like I'm no longer someone who's going to be going to bed at 3 or 4 in the morning just for the sake of it now, because I realize that in order for me to have a better life, I need to have more sunlight. It's crazy, right? But I realize I need more daylight. And so if I want more daylight, I have to wake up earlier. And it's funny because I've always known when you read the books of these great men of God, they always get up early. Always. And it's not something I've been able to implement in my life, but this is the power of prayer and fasting. The fasting sort that out one time. And so I want us to get back into more fasting in this lockdown. And we're not going to do the 7-day one. Maybe, I don't know if we're going to do that this year, but I think we should do another 2-day one before the lockdown. Specifically, we're going to call it the lockdown fast. So it's going to be from a Friday to a Saturday. I don't know which weekend yet. But we're going to do another fast. And you don't have to join, but we're going to do it. Even if it's just me, I'm going to put it out there. But I think it's necessary because the only way to God is sacrifice. So we have to keep sacrificing, and we have to keep finding ways of making ourselves uncomfortable and taking ourselves out of this usual way of thinking and way of life. Because we are not going to get any stronger. We're not going to grow if we don't make room for sacrifice. So I want us to do maybe even 1 or 2 more fasts during this lockdown. It doesn't have to be 3 days. We can do a 2-day one and a 1-day one. And I also want other people who've not been able to come along in the fasting to join, because we know some people are not going to be able to go straight to 3 days. So we'll do a 1-day one for the people who can't get up to 2 days. And we'll do a 2-day one for the people who can do it. But we now have to start implementing prayer and fasting regularly as being a part of this group. Now, fasting is not going to be a one-off. We're going to maybe have to have a fasting weekend every month. This is the new normal. You want power? I was saying to the brothers the other day, like, we can't go on the streets yet. The devils will eat us up. We're not ready. As a group, we need to all know that if we go on the road, I'm not worried about the devil eating up this brother or this brother or this sister or this sister. Like, we're going to have to be, this is an army. And we're going to have to be so on point and so uniformed and so rigid and so structured. The devil has a kingdom, saints. And his kingdom cannot be more organized and more serious than God's kingdom. But we know that at times, the church is the most ill-disciplined place. No more. No more. It is a new season. And guess what? Only the disciplined are going to survive. And so we're going to have to pattern that in our lives as individuals, because the demons respect rank and order. Remember, it says in the New Testament that the woman must have her head covered for the angel's sake. They respect order. Michael didn't bring any railing accusation against Satan, against Lucifer. Why? Because they're both archangels. Demons and angels respect order and rank, and we don't want to be like when Paul was there and the demons were there, and they said, Paul we know, but to the other person, we don't know you. No more. We want to be known. We want to be beloved by heaven, right? Like Daniel was beloved by heaven. We'll get into that in the Bible study on Sunday. But we want to be known in hell also. We want to have a reputation in hell. And to have a reputation in hell, you're going to have to go to some places in the spirit realm that's going to take you out of your comfort zone. And it's going to take sacrifice. But I believe that we have a people, God has brought us together for such a time as this. We have a people who are ready to be extraordinary. We have a people who are ready to allow God's super to be put on our natural. We heard the exhortation from Apostle Smith about knowing who we are. Okay, you really want to know who you are? Let's get together and let's start to push ourselves to be disciplined. I think that is the word for the season and the word that we need to hold on to going forward. We need to be disciplined. Disciples, disciplined followers, disciplined soldiers. So let us all commit each other to prayer on that wise. Let's actually do that now, because guess what? We're all going to need the strength of God to be disciplined, because territorial spirits are arranging things so that you can't be disciplined. You know, this is not a joke, you know. Territorial spirits, monitoring spirits, all manner of demons. We don't even need to know about all of them. You just need to know that the enemy is trying to arrange things so that you can't be disciplined. We also need to pray against spirits that try to chase us out of devotion. Those spirits that come at the beginning of prayer time or in the middle of prayer time that just want you to finish. We are in a war, saints, and the devil's greatest warfare is against our devotion and prayer life, because that is the reason why Jesus had to be manifested. Because in the garden, that connection was broken. So if you want to boil it down to its simplest thing, Jesus died for our prayer life, for our connection. This is how we connect with God. So let us pray, and this is going to be the final prayer, for a disciplined and excellent spirit like Daniel had. We want to be beloved by heaven. Gabriel said, Daniel, thou art greatly beloved, because heaven knew that Daniel was disciplined in prayer. And they knew when Daniel was coming, because Daniel had set his time, he had set his watch. So let us pray that we would have an excellent spirit to be disciplined. Let us bind every spirit that wants to chase us out of our private time, our secret time with God. That's where the devil wants to affect us, because that's where our power is. Yeah, whatever we are in public comes from what we do in private. So let us pray that we will all have that hidden life, because we are dead and our life is hid with Christ in God. So let us pray that our hidden life with God will be so fruitful that when we hit the streets, when we are dealing with our family, when we're dealing with our friends, that they will be able to taste of the fruit of our tree, because our lives were rooted and grounded in the word and in fasting and in prayer. Let us pray this final prayer together.